Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/culturalstew. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Please listen carefully.
Welcome to the Cultural Stew Podcast, coming to you from the Goat Factory Media Entertainment Studios. We are your cultural media recommendation podcast, giving you our take on what we think is worth carving your time out for, and also what we think you can pass on and maybe go cut that lawn instead. Warning, we use adult language, and there may be spoilers ahead. Hello and welcome to the Cultures 2 podcast for the week of April 14th, 2019. My name is Ron Herkins Jr., and I am here with my co-hosts, Anthony Carter and Valerie Vidmar.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. It is a nice, warm, sunny day out. We're inside. Well, welcome to...
That's funny because we're going to about to get dark. Real dark.
Welcome to what is essentially the second part of our previous show, and part of our new format, to, I don't know, put something out every week instead of every other week, or like this last one every month.
Or maybe shorten our shows.
But basically to give you a shorter bite-size show that's easier to listen, whether you're listening to it on your way to work or doing chores around the house or dancing naked in your living room, whatever you're doing, we're here for you.
It's very interesting.
I don't
just know. One that you threw out there.
So today we're going to only be talking about our stew topic, which is Tim Burton.
Yeah, Tim Burton. Timothy William Burton, actually.
And some of his movies, and particularly his new recent one, Dumbo. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to wrap up with what's in our radar and what's on our queue. So let's jump into what the stew is.
All right. Well, just to give you a little tiny history of Tim Burton. He was born August 25th, 1958. So if you have that birthday, you share it with him. And he is actually known, when he comes up, people think of pretty dark, quirky movies. When actually I feel like we're going to reveal some other things that he's actually probably bringing to light. He attended the California Institute of the Arts and then later worked as an animator at Disney Productions. He actually was somebody who worked on movies like The Black Cauldron, to my notes that I wrote down. Sorry, kitties. But he's started his debut in 1984. No, 1985, I'm sorry, with Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Did you guys like it?
Loved it.
Is that the one where he's at the big top, where he's doing a circus, mm-hmm. and he doesn't like egg salad and his fiancée of the sort?
There's somebody's, I thought there was a bike involved.
That's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I think.
That's what it is. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's what we're talking about.
His stolen bicycle.
Oh yeah, I did like that one. The circus one, that's the one. Sorry, circus one, I'm totally like, no, but the bicycle one was the first one I saw.
Okay. So then he follows up.
And Pee-wee's Big Adventure was also the first collaboration with...
Oh, I'm sorry. Danny Elfman. They have the longest collaboration.
What?
He does with...
John and Steven do?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure John Williams have.
What? I meant these two. I meant if you're thinking that Tim Burton and Johnny Depp have the longest running. I'm saying
the people that he's worked with, yeah.
With the people he's worked with, he has worked with Danny Elfman. Their collaborations.
And that's the Danny Elfman from Oingo Boingo.
I know, so weird.
Very weird.
Then we also have I think some people's favorite movie, Beetlejuice, came out in 1988. That's a fantastic film, and unfortunately, I showed my daughter the the table scene.
Oh,
come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me.
And it
banana.
was fine until the hands came out, and she totally lost her mind and can't watch it now.
That is, of all of the movies that he's done, that is probably my favorite. Even though I love Batman, I really love Beetlejuice.
And they wanted to be Winona. I loved her in that movie. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it,
that was my introduction to Catherine O'Hara too.
really?
oh yes,
That was the first time I remember seeing her on screen.
So fun. She is her face. And then, so he started getting really popular, and then he went to do big budget Batman, 1989.
It was controversial. They really wanted, the last Batman film and Batman property that you'd seen was the Adam West version, which was very campy.
Quite campy.
And they really wanted to figure out how to bring,
Frank Miller.
I don't know, bring something back to Batman. And Tim Burton just took it to the dark and went for it. And casted a comedian in Michael Keaton as the lead role. And it worked. It's like,
My dad hated that. My dad was big up. My dad keeps saying to this day that he did not believe that Michael Keaton can do it. Now he believes in it 100%. But back then, there's a big fight about it. My dad was angry, was confused, and I'm glad Michael Keaton got a chance to do that. And studio pressure didn't win.
yeah, and you get
Jack Nicholson as the Joker, which we talked about last week.
and Jack Palance.
Mr. One Arm Push Up at the Oscars.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And I know that they often have like the rock songs, and then they have the actual soundtrack. Did Danny do that?
Which?
The Batman.
Danny did do the theme to Batman.
Yeah.
He did. Okay, so then also what made this very popular was that Prince was involved. I'm sorry, but that dance kicked ass. It's awesome. It's still...
There's so much that became iconic from that one film. Like how most people think of Batman is the symbol that they created for that Batman, that logo, that yellow and black and the really wide wings on it. That became synonymous with it. And I remember I begged my parents for Christmas, and they got the Art of Batman book. So it was like all the background designs, and it was just crazy to see all the hand-drawn art direction. And I think it won for art direction as well for
It did,
the Academy Award for that. But the level of detail that went into such things, and it's not like, they're creating these things from scratch. They're creating things that are a world that just doesn't exist, or they're our world, but just slightly skewed. And you get the Batmobile, and just
like you have, when he was a boy, he read a lot of Dr. Seuss and Roald Dahl. Is that how you say his name?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Which you can see the Dr. Seuss stuff, the stripes and everything, all that stuff in Beetlejuice. And then, those bright colors, those types of things come into his movies.
Taking the world and just turning it
and having
32 degrees, just a little bit of a turn that you're like, getting a different perspective. And
creating characters that like are ridiculous, but they become real. So... And then he followed it up, unfortunately, with a bomb. Batman Returns bombed. And I don't know what happened there, but it didn't work out.
I think there was just too much going on. I mean, not like we have modern messes, but it just, there was...
Edward Scissorhands came out.
It was before that.
Right.
So Edward was before.
Edward was... Oh, I'm so sorry.
In between the two.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. Was he 90? That was 1990, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
89 was Batman.
Okay, Lo Santo, everyone. Because
it was his first Johnny Depp
collaboration.
Okay, so Edward Scissorhands.
That's the first one I think I saw.
I saw this movie and just, I don't know. My best friend Courtney and I still quote this movie every time. We were like, darn this stuff. Like, we can't get something off. You have to watch it. You have to see it to even understand any of these quotes. They're so bizarre. Tim, we were on a first name basis. Tim said this is actually the most personal for him because it dealt with a boy who could not speak, who was trying to fit in with his peers, with people his own age, and he couldn't.
Which kind of describes his own childhood.
Right. That's why it was personal. So, he we'll get into this, but, Edward was not he was not completed. He was an incomplete person. He had something that was missing. And yet someone fell in love with him.
At this time in my life, I'm 10 years old. I only knew two directors at this point. I knew Steven Spielberg and I knew George Lucas. And that was just because those were the movies I really loved. And I was like, anytime their name was attached to something, it was instantly like looking for something else for them. And it wasn't until Edward Scissorhands that Tim Burton's name got locked into mine, and I could trace back and say, when you watch Pee-wee, you didn't look at this was a Tim Burton film. When I watched Batman, it was like, this is a creative film, but I don't know who Tim Burton is. By the time Edward Scissorhands came out, you're like, he's got a distinct style. This is different.
I was 15. Yeah. So that had a pretty big effect on me. And I bought the soundtrack and I listened to it all the time. The soundtrack to this movie is beautiful. Especially, it's one of my favorite soundtracks. But, I'm not saying some people don't like this movie at all. They think it's horribly boring. And that's okay. Diane Wiest is fantastic in it. I love her. She takes care of him after Winona. She brings him into the house and she starts getting to know him, and then her stupid jerk boyfriend, which we bring back in the childhood star.
You're talking about the guy from Christmas Vacation. He's grown up. I'll get his name. Give me a second.
Oh, People. It's a three-namer. Hello? He was the nerd in The Breakfast Club.
And also the nerd in...
Michael Anthony Hall.
Yes. Anthony Michael Hall. Who I didn't even recognize when I first saw him in the movie.
If you see him now, he's completely different than what he looked like back then. Huh. He was on a show called... he was some medium on a USA Network, and I was like, but he was really good, and it was completely like, no, that's not the same skinny, dweeb nerd kid from the 80s movies.
He did a lot of 80s movies, but they bring him back. He brings him back here, and he's a complete ass. So, Edward had an effect on me. There was an Edward Scissorhands huge in our video store, our small video store, because it was a small town. And it was a cutout that was bigger than me. And the lady let me borrow it. Or have it. I think it's either in our attic or somebody threw it away. Anyway, so we can move on.
Yeah, so he then comes and he bombs a little bit with Batman Returns. It's still a pretty solid, in terms of superhero films, right. It's still a decent film, yeah. Especially with what happens to the Batman universe after that. But we kind of skip ahead to where some of his child influence plays in with Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's a good one.
But he did not direct that.
He didn't direct it, but he played a huge part in the animatronics and the claymation style direction of it. And I still, every time I see it, it's Tim Burton's creation.
We watch it every year. My girls have watched it since they were probably 1 or 2. That under your bed part scares the hell out of them. That's the only thing. But yeah, great movie. I am kind of obsessed with this movie, and And a little interesting fact, and this is why I told Jason that we have to go, Jason being my husband, that we have to go to Disney World, or I don't know if they do it at Disneyland or not. At Halloween, they turn the mansion, the Haunted Mansion, into the whole thing is Nightmare Before Christmas. It's really awesome because, yeah, it's really awesome. I mean, I have pictures of my little Harper wearing these hats of Jack. So we're big fans of that. So we move on, I believe. Oh, we missed, sadly, was 2001 Planet of the Apes.
No, that's after. We haven't hit that yet.
I have my wrong information.
Nightmare Before Christmas was 93. Planet of the Apes was 99, I think.
I think so.
What the hell? I'm sorry. Yeah, it was directed by Henry Selick.
Yeah, so there's a couple like Ed Wood's in there. I don't think I ever watched Ed Wood.
I just watched it again. I went to a midnight showing of it when I was in college.
Oh, you were going to say you had a midnight showing recently. I'm like, wait, what?
When I was in college, it's a beautiful movie. It's black and white. It's beautiful. It's another, here we go again with, he likes to pick people that are kind of outsiders, people that are different and that feel differently and that are kind of outcasts. And here he has a director that makes horrible movies and who has different parts of his personality that he doesn't want to get. He's a cross-dresser, basically. And his girlfriend finds out and thinks it's, like the worst thing ever. And so Ed Wood it's beautiful. If you are a film student or care about that, just watch the movie. It's great.
So then the next big one is James and the Giant's Peach and Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks wasn't that bad. I mean, it was kind of zany, but it was still...
I watched it once. I've never gone back and watched it again.
I have no idea.
Twice when it was on HBO, but I haven't seen it since.
I have not watched... I mean, I did watch it, but I didn't like it.
So the last one during the 90s was Sleepy Hollow.
That was that.
Love it.
Got me
Own
into
it.
cinematography.
Yeah, I think that was fun. I liked it a lot.
Johnny Depp was, I don't want to say wimpy, but what do you call that? Like, I wouldn't even say nerdy. Is that kind of like wimpy, but not really wimpy, but kind of like just cowardly.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, I mean, Ichabod is cowardly, but he embodied
vulnerable.
that. Yeah, vulnerable is, yeah.
And then we get into 2000s, and we have some interesting ones coming up. Planet of the Apes, probably the worst interpretation of the Planet of the Apes was horrible with, was that Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
In the lead role. And then another film that I thought I liked at the time, and I haven't gone back and watched it since, but I remember liking it, was Big Fish.
My friend John wrote that.
I just watched that this morning.
It's good.
There are parts that I can see where people wouldn't like it, but it's pretty zany. It's pretty out there, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. Yes, I am. I went to see this movie, went the first time in the movie theater with, I'm not going to even say his name, but a boyfriend of mine, not my husband, and did not enjoy this movie because he bawled for 30 minutes after the movie, and we couldn't even leave because he was so grief-stricken, and I was so annoyed that that's what I think of. So now I can think of at least that I watched this movie this morning with the girls.
An interesting note on that one was that was Miley Cyrus's first film role.
Who is she?
Ruthie. Young Ruthie.
Destiny Hopes.
Really?
Yeah.
That
was an unknown piece of trivia to me until this morning.
That's fantastic. I did not know that.
And then came Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
It's the one film I can't stand.
I really, 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 really liked the original.
Mm-hmm.
I could not stand the
I couldn't.
remake. It's one of those
a
ones
lot
that
of people liked it. I'm just saying.
I'm not a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
I'm a very big Gene Wilder fan, and I think his wackiness played well into that. I think he overdid a couple of the parts in the new one. That just didn't work well for me.
I mean, my friend John wrote that screenplay too, also Corpse Bride, but reading that, I just wasn't, like, he sent it to me to read, and I'm like, I don't like this. Like, it just didn't, and then I got to see it in the theater, and I'm like, this is not, I felt like I was trying to make a statement or try to say something, and I felt Johnny Depp was emulating, it just felt just awkward for me.
It was awkward.
And weird.
I've seen it one time, and I do not own it, and I own a lot of his movies, and both Johnny and Tim, and do I own this? I may have bought it just to have the collection be complete. But I don't watch it.
It's like trading cards.
Right.
I don't watch it. Can we move on though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because Corpse Bride was right after that. Or was it right before? It was
right after, yeah.
Right after.
Same
I liked Corpse Bride. I loved the coloring. They have some strange thing about how these three movies are really the same. They're like connected, and I'm so sick of that whole thing because they all
Burton universe.
Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, and Frankenweenie.
They are in the same universe.
I know, but they're not. It's just very strange. They all have dead dogs, or it's very weird. I thought Corpse Bride was beautiful. It may not have had the best story, but it was beautifully done. Have you seen it? Did you?
I think I watched it once.
So it wasn't really anything that moved you. Okay. So, Sweeney Todd. I'm going to skip over the killers.
We can talk about Sweeney Todd.
Okay, Sweeney Todd. I wish Kendra was here. She would go absolutely bonkers on this movie. She loves Sweeney Todd. Demons and Bard. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, Sweeney Todd. Grace, my wife, loves Sweeney Todd. She went to the theater to see it with her sister when it was in town on tour, and people in front of them were gasping and fainting and all that weird stuff because they didn't know the plot, which is weird. But bygones. I also saw there's a Jersey Girl has a scene in it where Ben Affleck's character is like playing Miss Lovett, and there's a whole child pageant thing, and they play a scene from this. But the movie kind of comes and goes with me. I mean, I like that it's kind of like Rent, the movie. I'm glad it was made, but I think it could have been a lot more fulfilling, and it wasn't for me.
I remember sitting in my seat thinking, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about this, and then kind of going, oh. I think I was pleasantly surprised. It
could have been a lot worse.
I actually liked it.
Musicals are hard.
Yeah, they are. And I thought that they did a good job. Actually, Kendra, my niece, said that they did Sweeney Todd in an actual butcher shop, which I think that was pretty cool. Those are cool things. So I think that's do I want to say that's his only musical, people?
Well, I'm that he directed. I mean, I would still say like Nightmare on Christmas. It's got music in it.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. So then we moved to Alice in Wonderland.
And same with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's got music in it.
Oh, you're right. Okay, I am wrong.
But it's the first like musical that was taken from
Alice in Wonderland. I don't know how everybody feels about this. Here we go again with a girl who doesn't like when people tell her what to do, and so she goes down the rabbit hole. He's got Sweeney Todd. Here's like the guy that has. I mean, everything is so. Batman has a secret identity, and Big Fish has.
It's a very theme of people that are very guarded, and when the cover is taken off, they're very
weird. They feel weird, or they seem weird, or they feel like everyone else is going to think they're weird.
But in actuality, they're special.
Yes. In Alice in Wonderland, I personally thought it was beautiful to watch. I don't know. It was beautiful to watch. I don't like the two guys.
Oh, the Dum-Dums?
The Dum-Dums.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big Dum-Dum fan. I wish they weren't in that movie, but I loved the movie, and I thought he did a pretty decent job with that. Do you have any thoughts, Tony?
I don't know on that one, no.
No. And did you see it?
I did fall asleep during it, I'll say that, but
Did you? And you liked it, Ron, or no?
I like the first one better than the second one, but the first one didn't rise to like of his favorites. It's been weird because like his stuff over the last 10 years haven't really made as much of an impact on me as his stuff did during the late 80s and early 90s.
I think so too.
And I'm not entirely sure why.
I don't either.
They just don't have the same magic that his stuff had before. But I think they're creative. I think he uses his palette very well, of that really grayish, dark, off-color palette, and he's now wrapped into like being able to use like the CGI world as amplifying it more. And I don't know if it's just something as simple as that, as like his stuff in the early 90s and pre was real and raw, and the stuff now is very almost like an airbrushed look to a lot of it.
Right.
I don't know if that's making sense or not.
I didn't like the look of Johnny and Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I was really disappointed in how they portrayed him.
That's what I'm talking about. Like his face looked like it came out airbrushed out of a magazine. And like
I
he was
hated
walking
his
around.
hair. I don't know why. I just didn't like the way. I expected more, I guess. There are a lot of things where I expected more. However, I may be the only person that thought Dark Shadows was funny.
I couldn't get into it.
I thought it was hilarious.
I remember watching it. I can barely tell you what it's about.
I started watching, I couldn't finish it.
Again, we have same type of thing. It's actually based on an old
TV show. Right?
Old soap opera.
Oh, okay.
The Dark Shadows. So he redid it. I don't know. I didn't mind it at all. It's dark and, got that whole...
And that's something
Dracula.
That's interesting, is a lot of his stories have been stuff that are either a book or a previously made product that he's done.
Except, well, Beetlejuice wasn't.
I said most. I didn't say all. I just said a
right.
big portion of them.
Gotcha.
Like even Pee-wee, his first one, Pee-wee, was based off of the Pee-wee TV show.
Right. I don't know. I was shocked when I was listening to they have those stations that play the music
On the
Satellite radio?
Yes, but they play the music of his friend.
Danny Elfman?
Yes, of Danny
Pandora?
Elfman when Pee-wee came on. I was shocked. I just couldn't believe that he did that. I kind of was weird that I thought he did it anyway. I don't know. Wasn't a huge fan of that movie. But moving on, we have Frankenweenie. I never saw it.
Nope.
Did you see it?
Parts of it, not all of it.
I don't know why, but it had absolutely I did not care about it whatsoever. So if there are people out there that say, you guys are idiots, you need to watch it, this is fantastic, let us know. I'm going to skip over the short. Is that okay? And I just watched Big Eyes, by the way, this last week I did for the first time. And I think, again...
Oh, look, Christoph Waltz.
No, I have to watch it.
And Amy Adams.
So I just watched it for the first time, and I enjoyed it. And I kept thinking, okay, where is he? Where is he? And then I thought, well, of course, she draws these pictures that no one else was drawing, that no one else had seen before. These pictures with these big eyes, because she felt like the eyes are the windows of the soul. And it's a true story where this man, Christoph Waltz, is a big jerk, and he is a liar. He creates a life that didn't exist to woo her off her feet. They get married, and he takes over her paintings and says that they're his. And she paints in private because he said that women with painters would not sell, except she kept bringing up. Oh, damn it. Why does this happen to me? She brings up the woman who
you need a sound effect for that.
Paints the desert scenes with, oh my God, everybody who's listening to this is screaming the name. And I am so sorry. I'm really sorry.
Margaret Keane?
No.
What are you?
I'm not sure what she's talking about.
Jojo O'Keeffe.
Thank you.
Thank you, brain. Okay, so she keeps bringing, like, what about Jojo O'Keeffe? And then he kind of moves on from that. So I thought the movie was good. It's not another one that's going to stick with me and moved me to the point where I felt like I was changed by it or anything. But it was good. And I like Amy Adams, so whatever.
Do you know do you know what film she was in?
Stop it. Just going to throw something at you.
What?
Oh, no, don't. Don't. I know what you're going to do. So moving on to Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which I believe is rated PG-13.
Not sure on the rating. I did see it.
Okay, so
okay.
I did a mistake because Zoe can watch a lot of PG-13 movies. She saw the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, this is a darker than Harry Potter.
Yeah, it is. She saw somebody that had black eyes or dark eyes, and she flipped her lid, and every time she sees it, she screams. So I have to watch this again. Did you guys see it and like it?
I had no interest in seeing it. Sorry.
I saw it.
It's after a book, so it's another one. That's interesting. Maybe that's why we're losing. Maybe that's why that we are losing. We don't have those same feelings is because they're based on other people's work.
I can watch Alexander Payne's stuff all the time, and he adapts. He never has an original story.
Alexander Payne, there are much different stories that he adapts from, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's totally different. And we're talking
Most
about...
of Burton stuff is based off of a children's stuff.
And they're very visual, whereas
he takes children's stuff and makes them dark.
Grim. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I also did not see Alice and the Looking Glass, which came out in 2016.
Yeah, I think he only produced that. I don't think he
Alice Through
it.
the Looking Glass.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Huh?
I don't think he directed it. I think he just produced it.
Oh, you're right. Producer. Yeah. And then...
I think that's all of his big ones.
I think
up till Dumbo.
Dumbo, it says, it's funny because he was the executive producer and...
Yeah, he's produced a bunch of films.
The director.
So, yeah.
They just say, is this true? Beetlejuice 2 announced. That's what it says here on IMDb.
What are you reading?
Potential. I see potential.
It says announced, and I'll click on it, and it says, if these things would stop running across my screen.
I mean, it says in July 2012, potential Beetlejuice sequel.
The follow-up.
Still writing it.
About a ghost, director. There's writers even attached to it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. So, of his past work, what is of your favorite Tim Burton film, Anthony?
Can I put 2?
Sure.
I won't explain why. I just picked 2.
Okay.
I think the longest ones, the ones that stick the most, would be Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands. More Beetlejuice, though.
Okay. Valerie?
I'm going to actually pick the same.
The same 2?
The same 2.
Well, if we're going to, I'm going to choose Beetlejuice and I'm going to choose Batman.
I like Batman.
Beetlejuice
Batman
because
too,
it was completely different than anything that else was out there, and the stylistic choices were cool.
Right.
And Batman because it revamped the future of superhero movies.
I'm going to put. Would you put Beetlejuice number 1?
Yeah,
It wasn't like a 1 or 2.
It's not a 1
It was either.
There. I get what you mean because
you don't have to put one above another.
Batman came out after 79, 76. Sorry, I'm getting it wrong. Superman came out. The movie came out and was so light and bright. And I think Batman with Keaton and all of them and Burton was to make it like the opposite, like showing the reality gritty form. So both films helped pave the way for future superhero films. I think just Batman, Burton's version. Sorry,
but
did it?
Batman 4 pretty much almost single-handedly killed it.
That's Schumacher. He
well,
got rich doing Batman Forever and thought he could do the same thing with Batman and Robin, and that was too
I would say that Edward Scissorhands affected me the most, and those when you buy the DVD, you can get those special DVD. They're like in canisters. They're practically in tin.
Best Buy has those.
They're
Steelbooks.
The steelbooks. Yep. I have. That's the only steelbook I have is of Edward Scissorhands.
Does it have him with the?
I'm collecting Marvel ones.
Are they?
And I always want to be Edward Scissorhands for Halloween, and I always, all this stuff. So
Edward Scissorhands is Freddy Krueger's long lost cousin.
Why long lost? Why not just cousin?
Don't say things like that. That's just mean. He's so sweet. So sweet. Okay, so
you can still be sweet and be cousins to a psychopath.
That's true. But
all right, so let's roll into talking about Dumbo here for a couple minutes before we wrap up the show. So his new release, Dumbo, based on the beloved Disney movie Dumbo. And he brought back everybody.
Danny DeVito's back.
Danny DeVito, Eva Green,
Michael Keaton. He brought back Batman, and he brought back the Penguin, and he brought back
Mrs. Peregrine.
Yes.
Is it weird I like seeing Michael be a villain? I mean, he's always been good, but I mean...
He plays a good bad guy.
He does. I mean, even in... I won't do that.
His hair was weird, but yeah. So yeah, that was the main cast with Colin Farrell.
Did you see it?
A bunch of...
Yes.
A bunch of side actors. Did you actually saw it?
Not in the theater. I had a screener pass.
Oh.
All
right, so who saw the original Dumbo?
Me.
I did when I was a kid. I have not watched it since.
I have seen it. Pretty many times. Enough times to know that.
I couldn't tell you exactly what happened in the old one.
I would say that there were some things that got messed up here. First of all, I didn't like...
Let's go with the good first, and then we can rip it apart.
The good. The colors.
I loved the color palette.
The color palette was very
the reds, the yellows, everything just slightly muted.
Yeah, I had green, and I
had a very like. Have you ever seen the toys out of the 50s and 60s? The colors that they used for those toys were very, very bright. But when you look at them now, they're just kind of dulled, but they're still that palette of color. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
Grandmother has some of those in her basement, and in Pinyin, there's a whole shelf of toys, and they're just like, I know what you mean, exactly what you mean. It's not muted.
You're not looking at something shiny and new. You're just looking at something that's older.
It's like muted slightly.
But that was probably my favorite part of everything was the color palette that he used.
There are no stripes, no black and white stripes, purposely. So the art director and costumer didn't want any black and white. They want to keep it vibrant and poppy. So that was impressive. That's a conscious choice.
What else was good?
I thought Danny DeVito's character was really good. I think when he was on screen, he was lively and animated and Danny DeVito-ish.
I'm not big on Danny DeVito.
Wow. No.
I don't know why. So every time I see him, I'm like, oh, God.
Colin Farrell surprised me. I haven't
He
seen
did?
him. I
He
haven't seen
surprised you
him
because
in
he
a
was
good.
in the movie.
No, I haven't seen him really in anything that grabbed my attention, like in Bruges, in a while. To see him kind of take a role where he wasn't front and center, like the point of all the attention, was interesting.
I thought he was very emotionless.
Okay, I see.
I mean, I felt like he was like showing some emotion, but did he not know how to be a father? But he wouldn't.
I thought that the choice of the kids were wrong. Like the kids seemed very wooden and toy-esque to me. Like, yeah, there wasn't.
Weren't impressed.
If you're going to have a flying elephant, why can't you bring back his pal?
Jiminy? No.
Was it Jiminy?
No,
Oh
it was
my
the mouse.
God.
Mouse, right?
Wow.
The mouse.
Yeah. Well, the mouse was there. The mouse was in the cage with a hat. He was the white mouse with the
I know, but still.
right? Wasn't that was their allusion to him?
I know that's crap.
I mean, one of the biggest things you're going to have with a Disney movie is the animals don't talk. So you don't have
Unless you're talking about
that side of it. So you're playing with, you have to have real people fill in the gaps of the story.
So let's see here. We have a misunderstood character who...
Which one?
Dumbo.
He's not
Okay.
misunderstood.
Well,
You think
what
he
I'm
is?
saying is that he...
See, to me, Dumbo felt like a very tiny side piece of the story in this,
Okay,
and not the
like
full goal.
when he had the ears and everybody made fun of him, and then they used him, and they, it was very, and he was trying to be helped by these kids, and it was very. I mean, I kept thinking, "Gosh, that's like Edward Scissorhands." Oh, that's like Edward Scissorhands. It was very strange to me.
In the original Dumbo, like I said, I haven't seen it since I was probably 3 or 4, so I'm very limited. Did the humans play any role in it outside of just being humans there? That
Somewhat,
Exploit.
but everything is told through the animal's eyes, right?
I believe so.
So I think that's where the biggest fault of the movie is that you're now taking that story and putting it in the hands of the humans, and you got to make the human story mean something. So they give the girl you want to be a science person, and their father won't listen to you.
It's
and
very
then the boy is
strange.
just thrown on the side. Nobody cares about the boy the whole time.
I
The
don't
little boy is just
understand.
Yeah.
and then you've got the villain that comes in to kind of add the tension of, we're going to pull away your mama and make Dumbo really upset. But the only emotion that you ever get is the sad, curled up Dumbo on the floor, or the happy Dumbo flying around.
Here's the thing. They showed Dumbo flying very early in the movie.
They showed it in the trailer.
In the movie, they don't find out for a while that he can fly. And
Yeah, he's born, and then the next scene is him getting a feather, and
he sneezes and then
and
it's
floats.
ridiculous. So there's a scene in the movie where
Physics don't
They
exist in Dumbo's world.
No,
they take Dumbo to see his mother. Okay?
not on purpose. Nothing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You
Well,
mean where
they-
Dumbo escapes and finds his mother?
I'm talking about this movie. They take him to go. They knew where his mother was, and so they.
You mean where Dumbo flew out and
Found her.
Found
She was
her?
singing.
This movie?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she was on Nightmare Island.
Oh,
Dumbo went for the first performance, and he flew out of the tent and found her on Nightmare Island because he heard her scream, heard her sound.
oh. I guess I'm getting confused.
From the time that she left,
Okay.
they put her on the truck out of there. There was no interaction, and
I thought it was before the truck left. He was before the truck was taken. He found her before they left. No.
There was a scene at the campfire where Dumbo came out underneath the tent and then walked up to the trailer that was locked up.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, well,
And
Dumbo found her on her own.
And then he puts up his
nose trunk.
His trunk, and she is caressing his trunk. Well, okay. So here I'm waiting.
During Baby of Mine.
Yes, we're waiting. We're waiting for the part where her trunk comes out and scoops him up and swings him back and forth like a baby, because that's the sweetest part of that entire scene, and they take it out of this movie. I was so pissed. And I actually read a lot of people were pissed about that, by the way, because that is such a sweet scene, and it's one of the things that if people that love Dumbo, that is what they're thinking about, is that.
It may be in a cut scene on
Oh, God, it's terrible. Anyway.
Pacing.
So, I would say...
Definitely wasn't my favorite.
The girls...
My wife liked it, but...
Watched it. They watched it. I mean, we watched it as a family, actually. All of us went. And we went to see it in 2D IMAX. So it was very large. And I kept sitting there thinking, I don't like this as much as I thought I was going to, which I was kind of, I was like, that was a little depressing, but I did notice the colors, and I liked noticing those types of things.
Cinematic elements.
And having, that was kind of weird. He all at once, she being the acrobat.
Eva Green's character.
Yes. Yeah. Falling in love with, Colin Farrell. Obviously, you're going to fall in love with Colin Farrell yeah. And them having her, it's so ridiculous looking, of her riding Dumbo around on his back. She's way too big for him. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I just thought that was, why?
Nothing about this film got me excited. That's why I said, when in the trailer, nothing was like, wow, I have to watch you. So I didn't, but then I got a screener, so I watched it, but I wouldn't have paid money to see it.
Yeah, my recommendation is wait until this is on video for free somewhere.
I agree. I'm sorry, everyone. But
unless you have a kid that's just needs to get out of the house,
yes,
go take them. But
yeah, because kids don't. My girls, I think, liked it. I didn't even ask them. I guess
like things at a different level than we do.
They do.
Paw Patrol.
All right. Well, I think we've talked enough about Tim Burton and Dumbo for today. Things I appreciate about Tim Burton are the stylistic elements that he has given to cinema, and some of the directors and cinematographers that have spawned from that to give us quirky stuff. I like
the colors that he brings. I like the fact that he changed the way I saw. I just loved the way Beetlejuice looked. I don't know. I just had never seen anything like that. I don't know. I also liked how the fact that he deals with people that don't fit in, people that are on the outside. Because, this is not a sob story, but a lot of times throughout your life, you go through things where you feel like you don't fit in. And I love that he takes that on and turns it into, produces that, puts it out. Obviously, he has felt that way much in his life. And I think it's great that he has the talent to be able to go out and do it. I just hope that he starts doing it better.
I think all of the above. I think just Tim's style kind of woke me up to what you could do in cinema besides just the standard, adventure films from Spielberg and Lucas, the Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and seeing him do something about normal people, put that in quotation marks, people who are like us, who are not that heightened. Even Edward was not that far away from us. I felt like he was just an amputee who just happened to have scissors for hands. So growing up, I saw that, and then I saw Sleepy Hollow. It kind of opened my eyes to what cinema could be in a low-key, but it's not really low-key, I guess average style, like a subtle style versus outlandish and my words are escaping me. I guess there's heightened and then there's not heightened. And I think Tim Burton, in his early cinema, which is what I was drawn to, has a very simple style, very simple story that he's telling, and they're about everyday people. And I guess in my writing style, that's what I'm after. Everyday people, not going to the extreme with them, but just living their lives the best they can. So that's what I learned from him as a writer and creator of the stories, just finding the simple story and telling it the best you can. And he has some flair in it, but that doesn't really distract you that much in his earlier work, I guess.
Okay. So what about you? Do you like Tim Burton? Do you like his movies? What do you like about it? What is your favorite? Let us know. We're going to close out with what's on our radar and what's in our queue. And we're going to hold what our next stew is about as a to be determined. You'll figure it out when we do our next show.
It's going to be a mystery.
Mystery. Scooby-Doo?
No, I was thinking mysteries.
Scooby-Doo. The Cultural Stew Mystery Podcast. You never know what you're going to get. So what's on our radar and what's in our queue? Tony.
All right, so on my radar, I have Best of Enemies. I have Working Moms, which I have to finish, but it's still there. Unicorn Store, Brie Larson's directorial debut. On my queue is Private Life. That's Paul Giamatti's thing on Netflix. And Our Planet with my daughter, who likes nature and stuff like that. I'll be watching that with her. Also, I want to catch Indecent, which is at the JCC local theater here. And it's showing a lot of places, not showing, but a lot of theaters around the country are producing Indecent. So I would say if it's in your local theater house, stage theater, drama theater, you should get a chance to see it. It's very good.
Okay. On my radar, the biggest one is Avengers, but I think we'll have another show before that it comes out. But that's my birthday weekend, so I'm really getting excited for that one. In my queue, going to see Hellboy on Thursday. Going to wrap up Santa Clarita Diet, Tick Season 2. Game of Thrones just kicks on, but I got to finish up
Winter's coming.
the previous ones. Hanna and Highwaymen. So something in there will be on my next topic list. And right now, with that list, it's probably leaning towards the superhero film unless something else comes out. And mainly because I need to compare that new Hellboy to the old Hellboy, which is going to be difficult.
That could be good. Ron was good. We'll see what this new guy does.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say The Best of Enemies. I was intrigued by. And so I think that I would like to go see that one and discuss that one a little bit. I kind of got sucked into Amazon Prime's The Widow.
Kate Beckinsale?
Yeah, I got sucked into it. It's not, fantastic, but I'm still watching it. So I may talk about that. I may not. We'll see how that ends up. And I don't, something might just pop up that doesn't end up on here, but these are the two that I really have time for. I don't really have time to feel like I'm going to go see this and this and this and this. I really liked Hellboy, the one that came out a long time ago.
With Guillermo's.
Yeah, I just have no interest in seeing this one. So I unfortunately probably am not going to see that. Hanna does interest me.
Yeah, we've watched episode 1 and episode 2 so far.
And how do you feel?
I like it. It's different.
I mean, do you feel like, oh my gosh, we have to watch the second, we have to watch the third one?
I haven't been in a rush to watch the series.
Oh, so it doesn't make you want to go straight to the next one?
Not as much, but I'm still like going back and watching it because it's, I like the series so far. It's just not like I need to know what happens on the next one. Or, let's get this out of the way because they're only half-hour episode type of things. They're just not that way.
I was going to ask you. Mm-hmm. You said something about Paul Giamatti. His
Private Life.
What is that about?
Basically, it's about him and his wife, not real life, but his fictional wife, are trying to conceive and adopt a child at the same time. They're trying to have a child, and it's about, their trials and tribulations of trying to conceive through donors or in vitro, and then their daughter, pops up and is willing to donate her egg to help her daughter, not
This
his.
is a drama.
This is a drama, yeah.
And this is a movie or a series?
This is a Tamara Jenkins, who is Alexander Payne's partner, Jim Taylor's wife, who did that film with Phil and drawing name, but it's
Phil
Savages. Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it. It's Savages with Laura Linney, and Bruce Dern was in that one too. No, not Bruce Dern. There's another actor, older actor, gentleman who resembles him, but Laura Linney and Phil Hoffman were in Savages, or These Savages, which is about a different thing. But
I love that.
Tamara Jenkins had a little hiatus for a couple of years and came back with, Private Life.
Interesting. And when did it hit?
I think it came out last year, but it's hitting Netflix more this year now. I don't think it's a Netflix original. I think Netflix picked it up. But
I see.
Kind of under the radar, and now it's back. So.
Oh, and speaking of under the radar and over the radar, or whatever the radar is, the full trailer for Shockingly Wicked, Evil, and Vile. I think I probably butchered that. The one that's on Ted Bundy.
Okay.
The Zac Efron movie that Netflix picked up. They released the full trailer for that, and then that's going to be coming on this fall.
Okay.
Was it this fall or was it May?
I think it's coming out
May.
soon.
I think May 5th, I think, is sticking in my head. So yeah, that was one I should have put on new because it looks good. And like to see this kid, Zac Efron, who was like
High School
Musical kid and like goofy comedy thing, taking on this character, it looks like the character was made for him. So,
right.
But hey, we'll see.
Right.
Well, that wraps up our show. You can find us at culturalstew.net, at culturalstewnet on Twitter, and culturalstew on Facebook. For all of our social media handles, head on over there, check us out, and you can find us on our individual pages. Catch you next time.
See you guys later.
Bye-bye.
The intro and break music is Please Listen Carefully by Jahzzar, available through the Creative Commons license from Free Music Archive. Please see our show notes for details on what the outgoing song is and who it is by. And also, as always, if you have a piece of music that you'd like us to play or consider playing, please contact us today. Like what you've heard? Want to continue to hear more? Please consider Patreon. What is Patreon, you ask? Patreon is a content creator support site, a way for people to support the things they love and allow creators to continue creating the content that they love. Please consider heading over to patreon.com/GFMedia and becoming a Patreon supporter today.